What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 57 of the Maple-Baum podcast. Mark, how the hell you doing, man?
I feel great. I don't look great, but I feel great. And I feel great about our next guest. This next guest, he's not just a comedian. He's a trainer. He's a fighter. He's a doctor. He's a chiropractor. He's an author. And most importantly, he's a dog lover. Your guest for this Maple-Baum podcast is no other than Patrick Eley, and I'm drinking a beer, and I'm feeling just fine. And the podcast starts just right goddamn now.
Yeah! All right, we got motherfucking Patrick Eley on, ladies and gentlemen. We've been actually wanting to get you on for a while now.
Happy to be here.
Oh yeah, we kind of have a long delay, I think. That's what I'm noticing too.
Wait a minute. Patrick, say something right now.
Right now.
Okay, it's
a little delay.
A little bit. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? People, if you don't know, Patrick Eley is, no bullshit, the most interesting guy in 209 comedy. He could beat the shit out of us. He could probably physically kill us and then repair us after he beat the shit out of us.
And repair us.
So, and everybody, whenever they see him for the first time, go, who the fuck is that guy? Because there's nobody else like him when it comes to delivery and tone and shit. Patrick, I'll just say this. You're originally from Virginia. Then you went to Chicago. And then you moved over here. You did comedy a long time ago in Chicago. Tell us about the Chicago comedy scene back in the day.
The Chicago comedy scene was a busy one. And in retrospect, I don't remember how good the comics were. I know that I sucked. And I don't remember many guys being that much better than me. But that could be my narcissism.
Yes.
So when we go to open mics and stuff like that, I mean, they'd last for 4 hours. And
4 hours?
It was a huge... Right. And trying to do that and work a day job was rough for me.
Yeah.
But California comedy, I feel like probably outside of New York and allegedly Austin, I think that's where the highest level guys are.
Wow, okay, that's interesting.
I will say this about working a regular job and doing comedy, and you get worn down. There's some nights where you're like, I don't feel funny and I don't fucking feel like doing it. And then sometimes you'll will yourself into doing it, or maybe you get a few laughs here and there and that gets you going. It's almost like, I don't know, not to make a corny analogy because I'm no fighter at all, but I don't know, maybe if you're in a fight, you get punched in the mouth a couple times, like, oh, fuck, all right, now I'm into it. So it can wear you out, but I can't imagine 4-hour fucking open mics. No one's even listening at that point. You're just fucked.
Well, I find it crazy that Patrick is doing all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, you do the fighting, comedy, and stuff. Like, do you ever feel like it's too much sometimes, or is there days where you don't feel like fighting, and there's days you don't want to do comedy?
On a weekly basis.
Oh, okay. So he's human. We know that now. He's
Wait
human.
So
yeah.
When you show up to this stuff, you're like, I just sparred with world-class fighters and shit. I'm like,
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
Man.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I imagine because like it's can be like just draining, and then like and then sometimes you feel like getting up. I mean, I've been using the mic stand in your honor as of late. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna hang on to it because I feel like I'm gonna fall over. You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I will say that the martial arts was a good preparation tool for time management.
Oh, okay.
So fitting that into my life, especially in Chicago when I worked more of a straight job or had more of a straight career, I got in the habit of pacing myself properly, kind of having an idea what I could do, what I can't do. So I try to plan out every single week ahead of time when I need to be at the gym to train, when I need to do this, when I need to do that. And right now I try to do comedy 3 times a week.
Oh, okay.
And
That's good.
luckily, for the last few months, that usually means like a real show once a week, which is way easier to get motivated for.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There are some weeks where I ain't got shit, so I'm just like, that. Well,
I find
I'm
just
gonna
doing
go to some open mic and.
I find just doing a job and comedy alone, like lately I've been wanting to get back to the gym, and I always would be like, dude, I just did work, did a show, and now it's like I gotta go work out for 2 hours. I'm so tired because, usually I work morning, unless I wake up before work, which, when you're doing comedy, you're not getting home till like, 12, 1 in the morning sometimes, for us, especially because we drive from out of town.
I'm very much.
Something
Sorry
that's interesting about that, because I do the helping people with their health stuff, is a mistake so many people make when they're trying to get healthier or get in shape is they say to themselves, their New Year's resolution is, I'm going to get up before work X number of days a week, and I'm going to go to the gym. And just like you described with comedy, you might be getting home at 12 o'clock or midnight. And a lot of times you're healthier getting that extra hour or two of sleep than you are forcing yourself to get up and go to the gym.
That makes sense. I mean, just like yesterday, I worked from 9 to 6 p.m. and then I went immediately from there to this work dinner I had to go to, and then I had to go help my friend do a thing, and I didn't get home. I was out from 9 in the morning to about 12 o'clock at night last night, and I was like, geez, I couldn't imagine doing that every single, and there's some people who do that. And then on top of that, let's say you had a day like that, and then you go do the gym, you're not getting home till like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. And for both men and women, the amount of muscle that you can carry and the amount of body fat that you can get rid of, like how lean you can get, is really tied to two hormones, growth hormone and testosterone. And you release most of your growth hormone and testosterone while you're sleeping, especially in basically the latter. You don't start releasing a lot of those hormones until you're 3 hours into sleep. So for most people, you're not going to have as much testosterone and growth hormone as you can have unless you're sleeping, say, 6.5 to 8 hours a night.
So what would
So if you're only getting 4 hours of sleep, there's pretty much no point in going to the gym.
Yeah. What would you recommend for somebody like me, for example? Like I'm trying to get back fit again. That's going to be like one of my New Year's resolutions, as I do every year and never do it. But like for that kind of cycle, how do you find time to and you know what I mean, and get enough sleep and shit? Like, you know what I mean?
With your day job, do you work Monday through Friday, or do you work through the weekends sometimes as well?
It's completely random. Like today I was off, but then tomorrow I'll be back on. The next day I'm off. So there's some days where I'm like, hey, but then it'd be like, and then there'll be some days where you just work 4 or 5 days in a row. So and some I'm opening, some I'm closing. It's so all over the place.
Well, then very generally speaking, I would try to probably work out on my days off, get in 2 to 3 workouts per week, and really try and just tighten up my diet as best I could around my regular work schedule. And you can tailor workouts in a way that they're most productive for weight loss or for adding some muscle, that kind of thing, depending on the type of exercises that you do. And we've talked about that, and talked about putting a program together in the past. So you really can get a lot of results for probably 2 or 3 years with just a couple of quality workouts a week.
And based off all this,
on top of that, just focus on being healthy.
Based off all this, I've done everything wrong in the past year. I'm very much skinny fat. I'm not getting sleep. I've had a bad hip. I had bad back the past year. Last week, I was so tired and burnt out and time constrained. I didn't beat off at all. So there goes that testosterone talk. I think I'm dying. Yeah, I think I'm killing myself.
That's
if I don't change it soon.
That's
all
where
for
I'm
the
at.
sake of comedy, for crying out loud.
And
I'm not even doing well.
I have such bad depression, and I feel like if I did get in a lot healthier, like got a lot healthier, I feel like it would help. And I hear that's a big thing too. Is your body health also goes towards your mental health. So,
and interestingly enough, your testosterone, your hormonal health, has a lot to do with that. The more relative testosterone that you can have, the more drive and less emotional. You're less susceptible to the depressive feelings.
I feel like my body has no testosterone. I have big nipples. I cry at the end of Disney movies. I think I have no testosterone at all.
I think this should be clipped and this should be part of the best of.
I agree. Dude, I'm wearing my Pizza Planet hoodie right now.
I'm looking at my arms going, oh my god, am I fucking regrowing hair on my arms now? What the shit? Because I haven't been sleeping at all this past year. Patrick knows. I mean, I might be seeing Patrick for him being a chiropractor because, like, my chiropractor, I feel like he's just bullshitting me at this point. Like, he's just going, oh yeah, show up another 3 weeks. You're getting better. Yeah, am I? Am I getting better if I got to continue seeing you over and over and over again? You fucker. You just want more money, more visits. You fucking... Anyway, I'm not going to name him.
But yeah, you don't want this sponsor.
I don't... No, I can't name him right now. But I don't know. I mean, I got to find a better cycle. I've been laying off comedy a little bit because I needed more sleep because I've been wearing myself out.
And you get up early for work.
Yeah, I get up early for work for a bad job. And then I got like a break in the middle of the day, and then I got to go back into work, and then I got to hopefully go somewhere to do some comedy someplace. And sometimes I show up to these shows and shit, and I'm just burnt the fuck out. So I end up yelling at people or screwing up jokes. So.
Well, you're lucky God made you such a beautiful man.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're not all blessed.
I'm not even working on it, and I do have this hair. Without this hair, I'm fucked.
I don't know. I feel like you could probably pull off being bald.
No, I don't want. I did it. I had a buzz cut. I look like ugly Jason Williams. I know you guys probably don't know who that guy is.
I had a buzz cut too before.
Nobody wants to see that from you.
Why not?
You have to have hair.
Bro.
Patrick is one of those people who can get away looking handsome with no hair. You know, us, we have to have it. Otherwise, we're just fucking simpleton assholes from Stockton.
When I had the buzz, I literally have, like, I make that joke plenty of times where my head is like the square. Like, I have the MMA head, but I have the body of a Geek Squad manager, so it doesn't look good.
You put on a hat, it's like putting a square peg through a round hole.
Yeah.
All right, so chiropractor. Okay, so are you also an author?
Yeah.
All right. What do you write about it? Because I'm not privy to what you write about, unfortunately.
Well, most of what I've written about has been ghostwriting for health companies, doctors. Doctors will want like blogs on their website, stuff like that. I've written for WebMD.
Oh, wow.
I also was a ghostwriter for one of the prominent figures in the legal cannabis business for about a year. And I've done a bit of personal writing, essays. I actually wrote a book that I ended up not wanting to put out because it was too personal. But I tend to write about the deeper meanings or motivations of health. I get really annoyed with the health industry focusing on, oh, if you take this vitamin or you do that, basically making things that really have very little effect on your health into miracle cures. And so much of the true basics of health are more like sleep, movement, and love.
I don't do any of the three. That's why I'm fucked. I don't get much sleep. I don't love anybody, and I don't really move around much. I think I'm fucked. I need three of those in my life.
We're just trying to slow it down.
That's a good point. I think I'm accelerating it. I'm not sure how or why.
Well, I love you, Mark.
Turns up the beer.
Look, this beer is not that bad. Okay, it's 4.5 ABV, so it's not a high alcohol beer. That didn't make any sense. Shit. Okay, so when it comes to you being a doctor, I imagine you went to college for this stuff, right? Um, how
Yeah.
did that parlay into you working with MMA fighters, or were you always kind of a fighter back in the day? That I'm not really sure what came first.
Well, I went to undergraduate college and I boxed a little bit in undergraduate. And then after getting my undergraduate degree, I went to chiropractic college and randomly, I knew a couple of guys that grappled and stuff, but I started having MMA fighters come in to see me as patients while I was in the student clinic. And I became buddies with a few of them. A couple of guys said, "Hey, you should come to the gym with me sometime." And it wasn't until I was actually in practice for myself. I was probably 24 or 25 when I started going back into martial arts and doing jujitsu and kickboxing. And I had held off because mentors I had in chiropractic told me that one of the things they said, which is so stupid in retrospect, but I listen to these guys, is, well, patients won't want you to touch them if your hands are all fucked up, and you break your hands a lot when you're punching people.
Sure.
And so I was like afraid of patients not wanting to see me because my hands were messed up. And ironically, way more patients want to see you when you know what the fuck you're talking about
That's
than
a
if
good
you look
point.
clean and undamaged. So yeah, I got into martial arts after that because of some patience, and I fell in love with it. And it was kind of all I wanted to do, more so because I didn't like anything else I did. And while I was in Chicago, I started tailoring my life to being able to do as much martial arts as I could, and basically working in my chiropractic practice just to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And then when I moved out to California, I had come up with some ways to work remotely. That's where part of the writing comes in. And I retired from private practice as a
Oh, okay.
chiropractor
Shit. When was
Wow.
that?
8 years ago.
Oh, wow.
God, I'm jealous of early retirements. Fucking, I see. That's I'm envious of the people that do comedy, but then they do freelance stuff that they actually like, and they have a adjustable schedule according to what they want to do. But I'm very envious of all these. I'm bitter almost about it. I'm jealous almost about it. But
Yeah, I think I was with my team out here for like 4 years before anybody even knew that that was my background.
That's crazy.
I didn't talk about health stuff at all. And after I'd gone to chiropractic college and was in practice, I went back to school to study neurology because I realized that most of chiropractic was bullshit.
yeah,
And I wanted to figure out why certain patients were getting better. And I wanted to figure out what I was actually doing as a chiropractor.
Wow.
question when it comes to like being a chiropractor, it seems like not everybody's body is the same. It seems like a lot of chiropractors just say, yeah, just do these stretches. And if you do these stretches like everybody else, boy, you'll get better. And that's not the case. So there's got to be something to that, right? I imagine.
Within the industry, there's this term, the flying sevens. And it's 7 adjustments, like a neck crack here and a neck crack here would be 2 of them, that most chiropractors do the exact same 7 adjustments and then give the exact same stretches and whatnot to every single patient. And what they do is they come up with a great origin story about why you need to be adjusted. And within that story, it talks about how everything's tailored to you personally, but none of that's actually real. And it's just a way to indoctrinate you into either coming 3 times a week for several months or coming once a week or once a month for the rest of your life because you believe it's going to give you longevity or health, which it does not.
I see. Okay. That's why after this week, I kind of want to see you about my back and shit because I feel like my current chiropractor has just been bullshitting me the whole time. That's kind of what I figured. He handed me like some cheap ass like papers like black and white papers with some stretches on there, going, yeah, do this shit, and then see me. Oh wow, you're getting better. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm still feeling shitty, and some days I don't feel all that great. So yep.
That goes back to that term I love, fake business, because
Yep.
I found myself in industries that pretended they were real business, but most of it was fake. And so I love how comedy, you're being honest about what you're doing.
I don't know. I see a lot of fake business. I see a lot of fake business in comedy. I don't know about you. I see a lot of pictures of.
I'm learning.
I see a lot of pictures of people online going, "This was an amazing show," and then they never show like the size of the crowd.
Yes.
We've all done these shows where we're performing in front of 5 people at a show.
Oh yeah.
No, this ain't
3.
that. Or 3 or less. Yeah. Hey, going back to the MMA shit. Sorry if I always ask about this. When you're going hardcore into it, you said, I mean, obviously you're training and sparring with people. Did you ever like have a bout and that kind of shit? Do you ever have like a win-loss record?
Yeah. Yeah. I competed a bunch when I was in Chicago, and that was part of what led me to pursue actually going to do martial arts in California. I was winning different stuff like in jiu-jitsu and smokers and stuff like that, and I knew I was competent. I knew I was good, but I had a feeling I wasn't that good. I had a feeling that the competition I was around wasn't at a world-class level. And I felt like before going all in around the age of 30, which was pretty damn late in that world, to pursue a UFC title, that I should go be around people who were actually on that track and see where I was at. Yeah. And I got out to California, and I was correct about my assumptions. And I found myself on a team that had truly world-class fighters. And I've competed a little bit, but for the most part, I found that I could best contribute being a good teammate, being a good sparring partner, that kind of thing, and having a tiny piece in helping guys have success on a worldwide stage. So and, it's brought me to some pretty crazy experiences.
I mean, so I'll just say it. It's kind of a white elephant in the room when he talks about competing and not competing, but sparring and training with world-class fighters from California. Stockton. Yes, people. He's talking about those world-class fighters that came out of Stockton. I always like seeing the pictures of him on Instagram with Nate Diaz, and I'm just like, yep, he probably can't say a single thing what happened during that trip. He probably can't say anything that ever happened on that trip. How was that trip, by the way? Where was the last fight? What was that fight he was with?
We went to Las Vegas, and Nathan was supposed to fight Hazmat, and then Hazmat got scared and missed weight, and he ended up fighting Tony Ferguson.
Man, fighting's crazy.
He won that fight. Got free from the UFC.
I just remember reading like a lot of rumors and innuendo. Excuse me, rumors and innuendo. I'm like, man, that must have been a hell of a trip.
Yeah, martial arts is a really neat world, just like comedy. And one of the interesting facets of martial arts is probably more than any other thing I've ever been around. There's a real code. And that doesn't mean every fighter sticks to the code, but then they get ostracized from the world. But part of that is within preparation, you kind of don't talk about what goes on in the gym. Yeah. And you'd be surprised what fighters from other teams and other camps come into gyms and what gyms you find yourself in, because people will spar each other to get ready for fights. But a lot of times that's done like completely confidentially.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
If that makes any sense, because they don't want it to get out to other teams, who's with who's preparing with who. And so a lot of that stuff you ultimately just don't talk about. But a lot of times when everybody's retired and that sort of shit, when the show is over, people like to share a little bit more about their experiences.
Okay.
The phrase I've learned over the last couple of years is it's not my story to tell. When somebody asks me about somebody else, like, I don't know, it's not my story to tell. Like, that's about
Yeah.
it. I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
saying shit. Not from it's that you're not on a need to know basis either. It's not my story to tell. So that's kind of how I go about it. All right, so you decided, okay, I'm a hell of a fighter, but in a decent little area. But this isn't the world class people here. So I'm going to move to California, work with the world class people. I'm going to take kind of a back seat, not a back seat.
I
but
hoped
kind
I
of
could work with the world class people. I showed up at the gym and hoped they'd keep me.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
You can't exactly get the Nick Diaz Academy on the telephone.
No, obviously. But they liked you, and they liked your advice, and you're a doctor and a chiropractor. You're such a fucking Swiss Army knife. It's always like weird thinking about all. Sorry if I'm. Some people say, you kiss ass on her. But like, he's an author, doctor, chiropractor. He
That's
does
so dumb.
fighting, comedian. I don't know. All right, finally, let's talk about you. You're a dog lover. Let's just jump ahead to you loving dogs. What's your dog's name?
I like dogs. Dooley the dog.
I like dogs. Just
Maybe I'm jumping ahead way too hard here, but at the end of the day, I don't know. So going back. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. So you're in California, okay?
I'm in California.
You're working with these big time fighters. You're
Yeah, I'm
traveling
getting
with
my
them,
ass kicked.
getting your ass
Yeah.
kicked. You're writing as well, and
I
then
am.
you have the itch to go back into comedy. What the fuck struck it?
I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Weird.
And when I did comedy before, I never told a single joke.
what do you mean?
I just told stories.
Oh, okay. Were they like
And
funny
I didn't
stories?
even- Sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't, but I wouldn't
Oh.
prepare them.
Oh, okay.
I was so busy that I'd spend time in between mics trying to think of what story I might tell, and then just try to work that out a little bit before I ended up on stage.
Man, that seems
And-
tough. Shit.
It's so kind
It
of
was
it's so different from what you usually tell now. Like the jokes you tell,
completely different.
yeah, that's insane. When you told me that, I was like, really? That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I stopped doing that because of the time commitment, and I needed to make some more money. And I love comedy so much. And speaking of depression and all of that shit, martial arts and comedy are probably the two things that have kept me around. And I would kick myself as I learned more and more about comedy for when I had done it in Chicago for not actually trying to do comedy. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And
How long
Yeah.
did you do comedy in Chicago?
probably 7 months.
Okay, it's like a stint. That's not a big time doing it. So, yeah, okay.
No. So right around the pandemic, I had been writing some jokes in a notebook, and my girlfriend one day was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" "I'm writing jokes." She said, You write jokes?" And fast forward a couple of weeks, and she has me standing with a hairbrush in the kitchen telling her jokes.
Oh, wow.
And fast forward a couple more weeks, she's like, "You should go do this."
Yeah.
So when things finally opened back up, I got around to doing it. I restarted having a podcast during that time so that I could practice talking into a microphone.
Oh, wow.
That's really where that came from.
That's awesome.
And that's turned into its own thing. But
you also sometimes do the podcast solo style. So you think that helps you perform, where you're like, I got to talk into the mic for like 30 minutes just by myself. So
and it helps me find material.
I've heard of that too.
Because I don't. All of my monologues and stuff are just right off the. They're just freestyles. So sometimes within that freestyle, I'll find a premise that I like.
Question.
And that's all.
Did it have, when it comes to comedy, did you feel like it was the one thing where creatively fulfilling you needed to do?
I wasn't sure, but there was some itch, and I'm also 39 years old, and I'm near the end. My body is gonna, like, I don't train like somebody at a regular like jiu-jitsu school, and my body has just become destroyed. I can't do it for forever, and my brain can only take so much CTE, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought about all the things I could do and the 9-to-5s and the spending the rest of my life as a square. And if I end up doing that, that'll be very hard for me. But I was like, this is the time, if I'm ever going to go for it, just to see if it's even worth me going for. I need to do this right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
For me, it's like I hit 30 and I'm like, I'm 30. I better hurry up and do this if I ever want to do it. I mean, I listen to a lot of like comedy podcasts and that kind of shit, and I watch comedy here and there, and people have told me I'm funny, so I better hurry up and do this before it's over, you know. And
we're in the same boat.
Yeah, I'm like, and I'm envious, bitter, like I said earlier, of the people that started when they were 20 and shit. I'm like, God damn it.
Everyone hates on me. I started at 20. It was my New Year's resolution. Mine was, it was kind of like what you said, Patrick, where my fiance, she was going to film school, you know, because she's really good at editing and shit like that. And then she goes, what do you want? What's always been your dream? I'm like, oh, stand-up comedian. And she's like, why don't you do that? And I was like, you got to be in like LA and New York to do that, don't you? She goes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and the chances of it working out are...
That's what I thought, because I was like, I've lived in Stockton my entire life. I have never seen a flyer for a comedy show. Well, I thought you had to be like somebody, you know what I mean? A big shot, like, or working for a comedy club to tour.
I will say this.
Learned.
I've been to a few small comedy shows in Stockton before I started doing comedy with other friends and stuff, like the Deliberation Room, and I forget a couple other places, Co's, before you ran it. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, wow, this is the worst fucking show I've ever been to in my life.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I got my first mic was first time ever performing was at Deliberation Room. I did 15 minutes my first time.
Powerful. That's a lot of time for you.
That is a lot of time.
Well, I have, man, I gotta pull that out. I have it still. I still kind of that way. I have an entire script. I made a script. I typed it up because I didn't know how comedy worked. I thought your performance had to be at least 10 minutes long. You know, I spent months writing out these shitty jokes, and I made a script. And when I went there, I just would have it here, and it was an open mic, and no one showed up. Like, no, it was for musicians, whoever. And the guy was like, "Oh, what are you here to do?" I'm like, "Comedy." He goes, "Oh, here, man." And then I'm like, "How long can I do?" He goes, "Do everything." He's like, "Let's see what you got." And yeah, I just did, and I had friends and family there, so there's like 6 people in the crowd.
I always remember the show I went to at the Deliberation Room. I didn't perform. I was just watching that day. And I remember the host kept going, this guy did this, and this, and this the other thing. Kept reading everyone's credits, and nobody was funny that night. And I remember the headliner, they had the TV on, but it was on silent. It was on TCM, Turner Classic Movies. It was some German Nazi movie that was in black and white.
What?
Everybody in the bar was just watching the TV because, like, that looks like an interesting movie. And they weren't even paying attention to the guy, even though the movie was on mute. And then the comic was just like, what are you guys watching? You know what? Fuck my set. We're just going to watch this damn movie along right now. Fuck. And he just stopped doing jokes, and that was it. Like,
how fun.
Man, luckily we have better shows than that now. It feels like. Maybe we don't. I don't know.
We do.
I think we do. I think we do. Shit. What else? Can I say this about Patrick? Your tone and mood. Nobody else has a delivery like you.
Agreed.
You seem like you're doing your thing. You don't fucking care if everyone's fucking loving. I don't mean that in a bad way, but especially with you in like a theater or like a darker room where there's like a spotlight and you with the mic is like the best way to watch you. How did you develop this tone and delivery? Did you feel like it's okay? It's a weird analogy, but there's this wrestler called Jake the Snake Roberts where when he did his promos, he didn't fucking scream and yell like everybody else did. He just made sure to speak softly, but made sure everything he said was worth listening to. How did you develop this tone? What's the inspiration behind it?
I think it is just pretty natural for me. I'm not much of a laugher in general. I don't smile much. I would be self-conscious if I laughed on stage.
Really?
I'll tell you this though: if you can get a Patrick
Oh,
Eley
yeah.
like chuckle, you did something.
That's why I clap a lot, because when I recognize that something's good, I want to like put that into the air. I want some noise for the comedian, but I just don't laugh. So
Sound like my father.
that and I think maybe the deliberate speaking is because I have, at least in real performances, not necessarily open mics, but in real performances, I have put a lot into my choices of words. Like they matter.
Yes.
And if you don't hear my words, you might not hear what I'm actually saying. And a lot of my stuff comes out sounding pretty offensive if you don't hear all the words.
You got to hear the whole
And then
thing.
it still is pretty offensive. But
yes.
you know what I'm saying. So
I
think it's just trying to be clear.
It seems like it's never a wasted breath with you, and it seems like most other people. It just seems like the audience they kind of know it too. So it's usually audiences, they just either go, fuck this, I don't care, I'm not going to watch this guy, or they're watching whoever the hell and they're laughing. But with you, it's like, okay, even I kind of get that I got to stay clued into this. So I'm either going to pay attention to this guy or I'm not. I just think your delivery is, there's nobody else like you, and everyone always asks about you whenever they see you. They go, who the fuck? Who is this guy? I'm like, oh yeah, he just started showing up at our mics and everything. So
I remember,
I love your tone. It's a different vibe.
One of my favorite times seeing you perform was when we what was that place called? We did the place in Valley Springs at that little bingo place I hosted, and I believe you were right. I think you were the first person I brought up, right? Or were you like second? You're like
I was second or third.
Yeah,
I remember Angel went before me.
Okay, sorry, it was me on Angel because it was his show. But anyways, we were in the back and we were just hearing you fucking kill. And I remember like calling all of us. Colin's like, dude, this guy fucking nice ass. All of us were like, holy shit. I guess some of them didn't know who you were yet. And they were like, holy fuck. And then all of them left the back area to go watch you. Like we all left because we heard how much you were killing. And they all went and like we sat and watched you. And just how much, it just, your energy.
Well, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that.
No, yeah, it was funny. We all of them on hell. Everybody, like, we were all like, "Fuck, dude, he's murdering!" So we all got up from the back and we all went and just sat and watched you from that side area, and we watched your whole set. And you were fucking murdering that night.
Patrick is a comedian's comedian and a chiropractor's chiropractor.
I always, every time I introduce Patrick, I always say, if you're offended by anything I say, this guy will kick your ass for me, and if you're offended by anything he says, he'll just kick your ass. He's a killer on and off the stage. Like, I just love that because you have that element and shit too.
Last time I introed Patrick, I mixed him up with Ryan Holloway, which is fucking impossible to do. I don't know what the fuck happened that night.
Yeah, the initial intro was just eloquent.
Except it was for Ryan. Except
it wasn't for him.
Yeah, it was fucking. Like, hey, this guy, he's a fighter, he's a lover, he trains UFC fighters, the most interesting guy in 209 comedy. Give it up to Ryan Holloway. Oh, what the fuck? Look, I butchered that one. Dear Lord.
Well, guys, we kind of have to wrap it up here. We are at that mark.
Before we go, I have a series
Yes.
of this or that questions. I kind of like to end these podcasts with just this or that. You got to pick one, okay? You got to only pick one. It's like when I asked that question on Instagram last week.
It's basically, would you rather?
If you could lay one, who would be AOC or Tulsi Gabbard? By the way, AOC won in a landslide, so...
All day.
Tits. She's got, I mean...
He just says tits. The way you said it.
I'm a breast man, too, so... I mean, Tulsi's fine as fuck, by the way. She's a hot MILF. All right, so some of these are themed for you. Some of these are not, okay? Okay. Tougher place. Chicago or Stockton?
Stockton's realer.
Realer?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Stockton's not tough if you're real.
Oh.
Chicago's a bunch of pussies and upset people.
Oh.
But
Really upset, huh?
If you're not a real person, Stockton will probably eat you alive.
Oh, wow. Maybe, is that why I haven't died yet? I've been here my whole life.
What I like about Stockton comedy crowds, if they don't like you, they'll just start talking over you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just be like, all right, fuck it. Just the hell with it and just start talking over you. Thank God that hasn't happened to me. Knock, knock. All right. Stockton it is. We're biased, so I'm going to say Stockton, even though I've never stepped foot in Chicago.
Same.
Okay.
Fuck the Cubbies. All right. This is obviously a question for you. Who's the greatest of all time? Pound for pound, who's the greatest of all time, okay? Who's the GOAT? Anderson Silva or John Jones?
Anderson Silva.
I mean, John Jones has never really been beaten. I mean, he lost one disqualification against, I forget, it was just some weird disqualification, but he's never been beaten.
Yeah, John Jones is a cheater, though. So,
Ooh.
pound for pound, a lot of those pounds aren't his.
Damn.
Also, I mean, Anderson Silva, when he started, he was old. He was like, what, when he lost against Weidman, wasn't he like 39, 38? So,
yeah.
He versed, I mean, I think Silva, I don't know, John Jones, yeah, he did cheat. Steroids, cocaine.
Wow.
He beat really good, obviously some of the best fighters ever, but, I mean, that Silva streak, where he was on that streak in the late 2000s, early, I forget what years, but it was elusive. It was fun to watch. He was fucking with people.
You think cocaine will make you...
fucking with people during the fights.
You think cocaine will make you a better fighter?
Question.
The steroids will.
Steroids, I understand, but what about cocaine? Like, will you become faster?
If you're on cocaine while you're fighting...
Like, right before... What if we had an MMA match, right? And both guys, before they fought, they both did a line and went out and just started fighting. Like, would it be fast or what? Like, how would
you might be able to take more damage, but the cocaine can't save you from getting choked.
We got to find a state that can sanction that kind of fighting.
I'd watch that.
Awesome. I'd fucking... Who cares about bare knuckle fighting? I want to watch cocaine fighting.
Russia.
Oh, I guarantee that's probably an NFL sport.
If you want to talk about the real pound for pound GOAT, because Anderson Silva's done steroids too, just not to the degree of John Jones. Nick Diaz.
Gotcha.
Well, you're going to say Nick Diaz. Come on. He's like, yeah, so what? Whatever. He's the best. Go to hell.
You want to fight?
I don't want to fight, yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, Nick Diaz. I agree. I couldn't agree more. All right, last one. This is a dumb one. Okay, Christmas is coming up. You got to pick one. Gingerbread men or peppermint bark?
Peppermint bark?
Peppermint bark.
Peppermint bark is probably the correct answer. Oh, so one more last one. Creep van or casting couch?
Oh, he does this every fucking one.
I do it every time. Yes, I do.
Creep van.
See, Ryan Holloway had the perfect answer to this, okay? He said, with a casting couch, what if you're on the couch and you get to be in a good movie with like fucking Meryl Streep or something? Now, at a creep fan, you know bad stuff's going to happen at a creep fan.
That's true.
I agree, but you can also drive to the beach and sleep there.
Fair enough.
There you go.
You just look at it as like a nice van just for creeps in it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess that's it. Right, Patrick.
You almost called him Ryan Holloway again.
Just leave me alone, okay? Leave me alone. I've been under a lot of stress. and I mix up a black man with Patrick Eley. I bet a lot of other people have done that in the past, so go to hell.
Story of my life.
Yes.
Patrick, do you have any social medias you want to shout out? Any shows or projects? Anything?
Patrick Eley 209. My last name's spelled Eley. Find me on Instagram. It's the only place I really like to be.
There you go. Any
And
shows?
Go there to check on some shows. I don't know when this will come out, but
It'll be out probably
I'll be
later
at
tonight.
Okay, I'll be at the Comedy Spot this Friday, and maybe Alameda Comedy Club on Thursday.
There we go. You need to check this man out. You guys won't fucking regret it. He's fantastic fucking delivery, jokes, everything. Like I said, he's a killer on and off the stage. Please check his shit out.
People like watching.
You guys are the best. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. What about you, Mark? Anything this week?
At Madman Maple on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Twitter is great. Hey, Twitter is good now. Go back to Twitter, people.
I agree. I'm thinking about getting back on Twitter myself. I'm on there, but I just don't really participate. But it's fun to be on again.
It's fun on there again.
There you go.
When it comes to shows, Bricks and Hops, what better day to celebrate January 6th than at Bricks and Hops?
Oh, my
Comedy
God.
Showcase.
You should have made your lineup all white guys.
It's almost all white guys. It's almost all white guys.
Oh, no.
Tristan
America.
Johnson is the headliner, though.
Of
okay?
course.
So it's all white guys and then a killer black dude at the end.
Oh, there you go.
And then also buy tickets to Graffiti Comedy.
Woo.
Friday the 13th. We got an all-star lineup. It's going to be the craziest fucking show we've ever had, ever. I'm going to tell the comics to do whatever the fuck they want. Bones might be broken. And also, Patrick, I want you there to do a guest spot.
Outstanding. I'll be there.
All right, I want you there. And that's about it. I got other shows, but who gives a fuck? Those are the two most important ones. Buy my merch, buy my shit, and then have sex with me. I wish you all continued success.
Yeah. Sorry. And listen to the Patrick Eley podcast.
Yeah, listen to his podcast. We totally forgot to mention that. Listen to his podcast.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that shit's tight.
Patrick Eley has a cool-ass
Continued
podcast.
success.
Who has a better voice for podcasting than Patrick Eley?
You do.
No, you do. You're soft-spoken. You convey people's attention. So, and
Right
that's about it. Jordan, what do you got?
Nothing this week. I'm taking a few days off. Like I said, I'm taking a lot of December off just to be with family and stuff for the holidays. Merry Christmas. I think this is we might make one. Like me and Mark might have a little thing Christmas Eve-ish, maybe. We'll see.
Jim Carrey Christmas.
Ooh, something. We'll do something. But anyways, just follow Jordan Q-Bomb and everything. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Give us 5-star rating, and that's all I have to say. Continue success.
Hell yeah. Continued success.
War Diaz.